Hey guys, I'm Rachel Perkins and here to tell you guys about my story today, just because it's been a whirlwind of the last few years, I guess. So start from the beginning. I'm from Atlanta, born and raised, and grew up an avid Atlanta sports fan, which has come back to bite me in the butt a lot of times. But I grew up playing sports, grew up around sports, around athletes, friends with a bunch of athletes, and was just what I loved. And didn't really know I wanted to make a career out of it, but ended up going to Georgia. It was my dream school. Both my parents went there, and so we'd grown up going to UGA football games every Saturday and Braves games with season tickets, and kind of just always was around the game. And it was something my dad and I always bonded over. I was a huge tomboy and still a huge daddy's girl, so we just always kind of had that together. So it's been fun to kind of see how it evolves, and still watch Georgia games every Saturday together and Braves games and whole nine yards. I graduated from Georgia in 2016. So I studied marketing, did digital media because I was super into the whole social media when it first kind of came out, and learned just kind of about behind the scenes of what goes into it and kind of branding yourself and branding other people. But all through college, I actually worked for the Atlanta Braves. So I was on the Tomahawk team doing every single, pretty much, of the 81 home games and community events around honestly all around the Southeast. So we would do caravans to Alabama, Nashville, Kentucky, like kind of all around the Southeast, since that was the biggest and only baseball team down here really, except for the Marlins. So yeah, so did that for 4 years through college, and then had a few random internships and jobs. My friends always gave me grief. I was doing everything from selling beef jerky, great beef jerky, shout out to Hershey, on the side at like festivals and stuff. And then I interned for the UGA hockey team, and was all doing this while I was working for the Braves in a full class load. So it was a lot, and I was driving back and forth from Athens to Atlanta every home game. It was an hour and a half each way, but luckily a few of my best friends ended up transferring to Georgia, and we all lived together our senior year. So it was awesome and kind of just fun to go back and forth. And 12-day homestands were rough, but get my classes done by 11:30, be showered, ready to go, straight to Atlanta, get there by like 2:30 or 3, and we're usually there till 11, 12-ish, depending on how long the game goes. So after all that, I loved it. The Braves were an amazing organization to work for. But my senior year, I wanted to kind of get some experience in the agency world. Like, that's more of the route that I wanted to go. I liked the fast pace. I liked the always changing. So I interned with IMG my senior year. So I worked a few of the football games and tailgates on more of the corporate side and entertaining. And I had done some hospitality stuff at the Braves a little bit too, and different concerts and games and stuff. So I loved that side of it. But the whole time I was actually planning to move to Australia for a year. So I studied abroad there. It was 2014, I think, my junior year. And I couldn't do a whole semester because with the Braves, I was tied up nonstop, obviously. So did 5 cities in 2.5 weeks. And it was just like the best experience of my life. Ever since I got back, I was just like, I loved the people there because they work to live. They don't live to work. They were super laid back, super chill, like just loved it and loved the vibe, and always kind of wanted to move somewhere like California or Australia. I didn't know at the time, obviously, but so I'd planned that forever. Had my one-way plane ticket. My dad got me that for graduation with Sky Miles points. I had my work visa for a year, so I was only allowed to work for the same company for 6 months at a time over there. So I was just setting up interviews, like dead set. I had 3 or 4 job offers in Atlanta that I turned down, and just knew I didn't want to do the corporate like 9 to 5. I knew after I got back from Australia, it was an eye-opener for me to just see that culture and how laid back they were and just how chill they were. And over here, obviously, it's nonstop, super high stress, super work, and that's your life pretty much. And I knew there was a ton of other passions and interests that I wanted to do, and didn't really know how to make a career out of it, but knew I wanted something that was always changing, always fun, around people, like connecting all of the back end of the community, the fans, the brand, the social media, just telling their story. But after talking to my dad and my sister, and they were both in sales, pushing me to kind of go that direction, and I did not want to do sales. I hate sales. I hate the money conversation. I hate the negotiation, the back and forth, the like ballsiness you have to have. Like that was just never me, because I'm a people person. I'm super like people pleasing, and that's kind of what drives me, is like working with other people on a very civil, calm basis. But I am very go, and social and just had a big network. So they were kind of pushing me to have that business background, which luckily I decided to do that. And it has helped, obviously, now that I accidentally started my own company. And it's actually crazy because I was, like I said, dead set on Australia. And so the summer I graduated, or in May of 2016, I had turned down a few other jobs at the time in Atlanta and knew I didn't really want to stay here. Like, my family was here and I loved it here, but it was still pretty comfort level. I had that security blanket of my parents' house if I needed to, like, rely on them, but they were always very figure it out, very encouraging and supportive of me, but very, from a young age, they were like, I'll give you advice, I'll help you kind of get to that idea, but you need to figure it out for yourself. And that's one of the things that I've beyond thankful for, because I utilize that now with my clients. I'll help them, I'll guide them, I'll be that resource, but I'm never going to be a yes man. I'm never going to be telling them what they want to hear. I'm helping develop them to get to that point on their own, because I want them to be self-sufficient. I don't want them to have to rely on me forever and be that person that's just enabling them to kind of go through life not learning and not knowing and having other people do everything for you. So I'll actually never forget, because I was at the Mart in July or August of 2016, and I was set to move to Australia October of 2016, and shopping for luggage for my move. And I was with my mom and my grandma, and I got a text message from someone I had interned with in college at IMG. Hadn't talked to him in a while, and he was just like, hey, we're hiring at CAA and we haven't hired in 4 years and you'd be perfect, send me your resume, whole 9 yards. And ironically, I had actually applied for an internship, or never applied, but was going to apply for an internship at CAA before I got the Braves thing. Actually, it was my sophomore year. So had my resume, never sent it in just because the Braves thing kind of happened and obviously couldn't do both. So I looked at that and it was crazy how much my comments and my answers for that application still resonated so well with what I wanted now, or at the time. And so basically I sent it in. I sent them a cover letter that they loved, just kind of telling that story, and it was like, there's no shot that I'm going to get this job, but it's the one job I'd stay for. I had turned down other jobs. They called me 5 days before I was supposed to move and offered me the job. And it was just a no-brainer at that point. It was just, I couldn't turn it down, and very happy I did it. It was the best experience. I was there for 2 years, learned so much, and I give them so much credit for where I am and learning the industry and how things work. And so I went from managing 0 to 70-ish probably NFL guys. Had no idea about the sports industry, honestly, nothing on the back end of the agency side, but knew I loved working with people and knew I loved connecting all the dots. So got really close with a bunch of these guys and their families and their parents and their wives and their kids, and would handle a lot of the day-to-day requests, from travel or surprise birthday parties for their wife, or engagements, or they wanted to buy a new car, get them the best discounts and sponsorships for their camps, or if they need a tow truck at 2 a.m. and they don't know who to call, or get in a car wreck and they have a rental car, but luckily we had insurance on it. So just kind of dealing with a lot of last minute, putting out fires, but also really just getting to know these guys and behind the scenes of just who they are, what they want, what they're doing with their lives, and kind of just everything, even on the marketing execution side, for making sure guys show up when they need to be there, make sure they're posting the right things for different brands, running their social media, kind of just fielding all the requests from media or fans or brands or whoever it is. But I really had a niche and a passion for those rookies, and really the transition in their first year and a half in the league. So after 2 years, I decided, I had some really young kids that there was a few experiences that I just was like, I need to go find my calling of helping these younger kids. And I knew I loved what I was doing, but I just wanted to kind of help on the personal and professional development more so than I could at the time. And I just kind of wanted to create some sort of niche that helps them learn life, because I saw the struggles, I saw the behind the scenes. There's, a million stories I could tell of just things that I went through with these guys and their families, and seeing how they adjusted and learned, or hearing guys once they're older be like, I wish I would have known this, that, and the other. Personally, with one guy that he'd been through so much in life, and he just didn't have the right resources around him to really get to where he needed to be and be a professional athlete, and on the field and off the field. So I kind of started going through the program with him of just, all right, let's look at where you're at, what you need, what you don't have. Everything from setting up auto pay with the bills so that he knows what he's spending when it's due, doesn't have to worry about it, but also is aware of what his budget is and where his money's going and what bills he has, but also making sure his homeowner's insurance and his car insurance is up to date, and making sure his bank accounts are set up, and would walk in the house and he would have a $5,000 check on the counter and doesn't have time to go to the bank. So figuring out mobile deposit and making sure that you just are more structured in your off-field life will 100% help you on the field. Even things from organizing their closets or setting up their dog vet appointments if they're behind on their shots, or just kind of figuring out things that they don't have time to think about. They're professional athletes, but they need someone to do it. But it's so much bigger than just that petty stuff. Like, yeah, that stresses them, like takes some stress off of them and makes them think clearer. But the more you are a CEO of your own life off the field, the better you play on the field, the better you are long term, and just kind of taking them through that process of, wow, like I should know this, but I was never taught it, or I want to know this, but I don't know how to learn, and people don't really know how to communicate that to them. So it's a lot about just being patient, developing with them, and kind of helping them go through those steps, and kind of giving them the beginning of the journey and telling them what to expect, but then not dumping all at once. Like helping them through it when they're ready, timing it out, and just kind of seeing them go through that is awesome. So I appreciate you guys kind of listening to my story. And just to kind of wrap it up, I work with a bunch of different athletes, different sports. Obviously my main focus is football just because that's what I had the most experience in, but I have NBA guys, MLB guys, even as random as global windsurfing, and soccer players and rugby players and an Olympic track athlete, female track athlete. So if it's something you're interested in or know someone who is, or even just kind of want to learn more about it, and maybe even how to question the people that are interviewing to be on your team if you're an athlete, or if your parents need kind of some of that guidance of they have everyone coming at them and they're kind of shielding all those requests for you, I am just a one-stop shop resource to kind of give you very unbiased advice. And I've vetted a lot of different people, and I don't know it all, but I've definitely researched a bunch of different areas and lived it and experienced it with different guys, where if I don't know the answer, which sometimes I don't, I will find the best person who does, and I will oversee it to make sure that you're getting taken care of and still be involved day to day no matter what. Even if it's throughout your career, I want to be that resource that you can call and trust, and just kind of, you need a flight somewhere ASAP, I can get that done for you. But you also want to have people that become family around you, just because they look out for you, and you're not going to necessarily like me all the time, but I know you're going to love me, and I'm not going to say yes to you all the time, but you don't need that. It's a business, but it's also family, and I love what I do. So they become my brothers and sisters and family, and just that's kind of the concept at Perks. So if you're interested or have more questions or want to kind of chat more, I will put my website link on here, but it's easier, honestly, just shoot me a text, DM me, email me. I always have my phone. I rarely ever, if ever, miss clients' calls. I step out of weddings. I step out of everywhere. But yeah, so just hit me up and we'll chat.